my life changed. Do you know how? 2 months ago, I woke up in a hospital bed in Madison, Wisconsin, tube snaking out of my arms, my heart monitor beeping like a frantic alarm, only to find out my own father had signed papers to pull the plug on me because the bills were stacking up too high, and he figured I wasn't worth the debt anymore. Can you even imagine? The man who'd raised me, or so I thought, standing there in the ER, cold as ice, telling the doctor, "Let her go. We're not paying for this." My body was shattered from a car crash that nearly killed me. Ribs cracked, lungs struggling, and while I fought for every breath in that coma, he was already plotting how to cash in on what little I had left. The nurses whispered about it later, their eyes wide with shock, thinking, how could a father do that to his own daughter? But what he did next, right under everyone's nose, turned my world upside down in ways I never saw coming. What would you do if the person who was supposed to protect you tried to erase you for a paycheck? Spill in the comments. I need to know because, girl, it hit me like a freight train. Before I drag you any deeper into this mess and spill how it all exploded, if you're new to this channel, hit that like button and subscribe if you genuinely feel the connection. It helps us share more stories like this. All right, now let me tell you what really went down. I'm Sarah Jenkins, 32 years old, a second grade teacher at Lincoln Elementary right here in Madison. You know, the kind of job where you're shaping little minds every day, dealing with crayon chaos and endless parent emails, all while juggling your own life that's falling apart at the seams. I've always been the responsible one, the girl who steps up when family needs her, even when it means putting my dreams on hold. But let me take you back to where this nightmare started about 8 months ago, when my Aunt Evelyn passed away quietly in her cozy bungalow in nearby Sun Prairie. She was like a second mom to me, always there with warm hugs, fresh-baked muffins, and advice that cut through the BS. "Sarah, honey, life's too short to carry everyone else's baggage," she'd say over tea on her porch, overlooking that little garden she tended like it was her baby. I visited her every weekend, helping with her meds for her arthritis, listening to her stories about the old days in Wisconsin winter. She knew my struggles, the student loans from getting my teaching degree, the burnout from long hours grading papers while dealing with my own anxiety flares, the kind that hits hard when you're a woman trying to balance it all without a safety net. Aunt Evelyn saw how my family treated me like the afterthought, especially my dad, Harold, who never let me forget the burdens I'd caused since I was born with asthma that racked up hospital bills as a kid. You know how much those inhalers cost us, Sarah? He'd grumble at the dinner table in our modest home in Middleton, a suburb just west of Madison. My older sister, Lisa, got the princess treatment college paid for, a shiny car at 18, while I scraped by with scholarships and part-time gigs at coffee shops. But I never complained. I thought that's just how family worked, you know? You give and give, hoping one day it'll come back around. The conflict hit like a storm when Aunt Evelyn's will reading happened a week after her funeral. We gathered in that stuffy lawyer's office downtown Madison, the air thick with tension. Dad sat there smug, arms crossed, thinking he'd inherit everything since he was her only brother. Lisa fidgeted with her phone, probably texting her friends about how bored she was. Me? I was there out of respect, not expectation. But when the lawyer, Mr. Harlan, cleared his throat and read that Aunt Evelyn had left her bungalow and a savings account solely to Mimi, the room went dead silent. Dad's face turned beet red. I could see the gears turning in his head, thinking, how dare she cut me out? Lisa shot me a glare like I'd stolen her spotlight, her mind racing with jealousy because she'd always been the golden child. "This can't be right," Dad barked, slamming his fist on the table. Evelyn must have been confused. Those meds messed with her head, but Mr. Harlan just adjusted his glasses and said it was ironclad, notarized years ago when she was sharp as a tack. I sat there stunned, my heart pounding because, for once, someone believed in me enough to give me a fresh start. A home of my own in Sun Prairie, away from the family drama. It felt like freedom. But oh, girls, that was just the spark. The real fire was coming. and it would burn everything I thought I knew. What happened next left me reeling, creating this loop of doubt that kept pulling me back. I started fixing up the bungalow on weekends, painting the walls a soft lavender like Aunt Evelyn loved, planting herbs in the garden to honor her. It was therapeutic, amid the women's health stuff. I was dealing with those anxiety attacks that snuck up during stressful parent-teacher conferences, leaving me breathless and second-guessing myself. I joined a local yoga group at the Madison Community Center to manage it, breathing through the poses while chatting with other ladies about how we all juggle too much. But Dad, he started dropping hints at family dinners, his voice dripping with resentment. That house should have been for all of us. Sarah, you're being selfish. Lisa nodded along, her thoughts probably swirling with ways to guilt me into sharing. I brushed it off at first, but it gnawed at me. Why couldn't they just be happy for me? The curiosity built. What were they really after? Little did I know, Dad had been hiding gambling debts from his poker nights at the local VFW hall, piling up like snow in a Wisconsin blizzard. He'd peek at my mail, ask prying questions about the inheritance. It created this endless cycle of unease where I'd lie awake in my tiny apartment in Madison's East Side, wondering if family loyalty meant sacrificing my sanity. Then the unexpected slammed into me like that semi-truck on Highway 151 one rainy April night. I'd just finished a late staff meeting at school, exhausted from prepping for state testing while fighting off a migraine classic. Teacher burnout, right? Driving home through the downpour, visibility zero. When a drunk driver swerved into my lane, crumpling my old Honda like tin foil. I remember the screech of metal, the jolt through my body, then nothing but blackness. Woke up 3 weeks later in UW Health Hospital. Body a map of bruises, fractured pelvis, and a concussion that made my thoughts fuzzy. The nurses were angels, one named Carla confiding later how she'd overheard Dad arguing with the billing folks. But here's the payoff that chilled me. While I was out cold, Dad hadn't visited once to hold my hand or pray like a father should. Instead, he marched in, demanded the cost breakdown, $200,000, estimate for surgeries, and rehab, and flat out told the doctor, "She's always been a money pit. Don't bother saving her if it's this expensive." Signed the DNR without a tear. Thinking of his wallet over his daughter, Carla thought he was a monster, whispering to colleagues. That poor girl, her own dad abandoning her like trash. But wait, what if there was more to his greed? That question hung in the air, pulling me deeper into the mystery. Faced with this betrayal, I had a choice. Girl up and let it break me, or fight back with everything I had. Girl side chose fire. Still hooked to IVS, I called my bestie from teaching college, Mia, who'd moved to nearby Verona. She'd always been my rock, the one I met through bumbled BFF when I felt isolated after a bad breakup years ago. "Sarah, you're not alone," she'd say during our wine nights, sharing tips on budgeting apps to tackle debt without family drama. Mia had been my healthcare proxy for ages. I named her after Aunt Evelyn suggested it, saying, "Never leave your fate to blood if they're toxic." Mia rushed in that night, revoked the DNR, and authorized everything. Her mind racing with fury at Dad's cruelty. How could he? She thought, hugging me tight. I started piecing it together from my bed, using mindfulness apps on my phone to calm the panic attacks, breathing through the pain, but the loop tightened. Why had Dad gone so far? The answer teased me, building that unbearable curiosity. Then came the plot twist that had me gasping, the one nobody saw coming. Not even Dad. While digging through Aunt Evelyn's old papers that Mia brought to the hospital, I found a hidden letter tucked in a recipe book. Her handwriting, frail but fierce. "Sarah, your father's been dipping into family funds for years, my savings. Even your college money. I protected this for you because I knew he'd try to steal it. Harlan has proof." My blood ran cold. Turns out, Dad had forged my signature on a deed transfer while I was comatose, snatching the bungalow and mortgaging it for $300,000 to pay his secret debts. Lisa knew too. She'd overheard him bragging about it, thinking if I stay quiet, maybe he'll cut me in. But Harlan, the lawyer, confirmed it all over the phone. His voice steady. It's fraud. Sarah, we can nail him. The hospital staff buzzed with gossip. Carla thinking that man's getting his karma now. I felt the rush of empowerment, like finally seeing the puppet strings. The satisfactory change came in a blaze of glory. Girls, and it was sweeter than any payback fantasy. I gathered my strength, discharged after weeks of PT learning to walk again while advocating for better insurance coverage. A tip I got from my yoga group sister. We confronted Dad at a family brunch in a Middleton diner, the kind with vinyl booths and endless coffee. Mia and Harlan flanked me, folders in hand. Dad blustered, "This is nonsense." But his eyes darted, sweat beading as he realized the game was up. Lisa sat frozen, her guilt crashing down, thinking, I've lost my sister over this. I laid it all out. The forgery, the DNR, the stolen inheritance voice, steady. No screams, just facts. You chose money over me. Dad, now face the consequences. Harlan filed charges that day. The court voided the deed, froze the mortgage. Dad's world crumbled, lost his job as a mechanic when word spread through our tight-knit community. Moved to a dingy apartment in Janesville. Debts swallowing him whole. Lisa? She ghosted at first, but months later texted an apology. Starting therapy for her own issues. Me? I sold the bungalow for a profit, paid off my loans, bought a cute condo in Madison's Williamson Street neighborhood, vibrant, full of cafes and women's book clubs where I built a real support network. Joined financial planning workshops at the library, learned to budget like a boss, even started therapy covered by my insurance to unpack the emotional scars. Looking back, this mess taught me the philosophy of life. Boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges to your true self. Perseverance isn't about enduring pain. It's about choosing joy on the other side. Inner strength, it's in us all, waiting for that spark. Hope blooms when you let go of toxic ties and embrace the sister's blood or chosen who lifts you up. If you're dealing with family drama, health hurdles, or feeling overlooked, know this, build your network, like those apps for friendships or local groups. Advocate for your health, whether yoga or therapy. Plan your finances smartly, avoiding scams by checking everything twice. You're worth it, girl. This story changed me, made me cheer for my own comeback. What boundary shifted everything for you? Drop it in the comments. Let's connect over coffee vibes. And if this fired you up, subscribe for more. There's many tailies on our channel. Talk soon.